We also wanted to do one very specific session on product skilling, which is now going to be moderated by Priya Madhavan, who is from NASSCOM Future Skills Prime. And along with Priya, we have two panelists, and this is going to be a very quick, short session from the product leaders. Listen what are the skills that are required and how some of you can actually access this without any cost. So Priya, can I have you on stage, Priya? Okay, Lakshmi and Seema, I would like to invite you again to the stage along with Priya, so that, I'll hand it over to Priya she has like a really great panel lined up. Priya, do you need any?
Thank you so much, fellow panelists. Do I need to switch this on? Can you all hear me? Okay. It's been a long day for you all, and this session, Shreya says, we just have about 15 to 20 minutes, and the session is called Ready to Jump Onto PM Bandwagon. So this was the topic that was given to us, and then we said, why is there so much buzz these days for people to join product management? What is in it? Like, why are people so excited about it? And it's not surprising at all. There are about 21 companies which have become unicorn in 2022, and apparently 2021 was one of the biggest years where 42 companies became the unicorn. An interesting word I read today. How many of you all know what Sunicorn is? Oh, that's very nice. And two? And what does that mean? I can't hear you. Sort of, you're sort of there. 1 billion valuation is unicorn, and Sunicorn is up to 200 million USD. So this was something that I just came to know today, and apparently there are 100 startups which are in the Sunicorn category. And we all, there was a research done by NASSCOM along with Zinnov, and I think many of you could have access to this. It's called NASSCOM Tech Startup Report, which says by 2025, we are going to have about 200 companies become unicorn. Today, there are about 107 companies which are unicorns. By 2025, it's going to be 200. So obviously, if, it's going to be so many companies, then the shortage of talent is very evident, and there should be something that has to be done at a real large scale to ensure that we have product management skill professionals to make this happen. And the revenue that this is going to have, the cumulative valuation is supposed to be around 600 to 700 billion USD by 2025, and currently it's about 320 billion USD. So it's a huge market, it's a huge area. So, okay. So that's a segue for our discussion today. I'm Priya Madhavan from NASSCOM Future Skills, part of the mission of the government, which wants to make India the global hub for digital talent. So that's where we are, and I have my fellow panelist, Lakshmi. Lakshmi is AVP with Mr. Cooper's, and we have Seema Joshi, who is with NICE Limited. Both are into product management. So we see that there's so much interest into product management, and would like to just understand from you what made you be part of the product management journey and how is it going. We'll start with Lakshmi.
I'm Lakshmi. I build products for a servicing line of business at Mr. Cooper, which is a mortgage tech company. My journey, on one end, it may sound very traditional, coming from an engineering background into product management. But I actually started, ideally, product management in second year of my career, right? So what happened was, I'm a very talkative person. So 2 years into, coding, I realized that, no, I need more interaction. This doesn't work for me. So I actually started getting into business analysis side of things, and my managers at that time and my mentors in that company supported me a lot to get into it. And I would always be the one in the meeting who would, doesn't matter if it is my area or not, I'd poke my nose and actually give inputs and try to get that big picture done and everything. So I had some good mentors and managers that helped me get into product management at early stages. And then after that I was in JP Morgan Chase, where it wasn't defined as product management, so I was more into product analysis, business analysis kind of a thing, and at Mr. Cooper Group now grown into the product management role. But overall, whatever may be the title or the company, I think every single job, title, role that I've had has helped shape me where I am. And that's because product management is amalgamation of every other role, right? Like, so we end up interacting with everybody, like, the panelists said throughout the day. So yeah, that's about my journey.
So takeaway is, like, you love interaction, and this
Yes.
product management helps you with that. So wonderful. Seema, what's your thoughts?
I'm a civil engineer. I got placed in campus with a structural consulting firm. I thought I was more a field person and I may not like it. I grew up as a sports person, but to my surprise, I liked it. But I knew while I like technology, I'm not very geeky. It doesn't give me joy from the inside. And there was an opportunity that I had to work with a company which was in a slightly client-facing role, product company. And that's where I think my journey into tech and product started. I actually spent a good part of my early career doing sales. Our primary markets were US and Europe. I was part of the Asia Pac sales team, which meant in sales, usually when you have the revenues, you have the budget. And since we were starting off zero revenue, zero budget, which meant we were wearing different hats on different days. Some days we were doing demos, some days we were putting on a jacket and going for, some big meeting. Some other days we were learning stuff and all of that. But I was thrown into the ocean, and I think I learned a lot. I mean, if I had to go back and do it differently, I would certainly not remove this part of my career. And doing that, I got a chance to see how customers buy. Why do they make buying decisions? What problems are they trying to solve? Within an organization, every different entity that you interact with has a different perspective of looking at things. And all of that came together. And in some ways, sales is also a very result-oriented role. It's a 0 or 1. You win a deal or you lose a deal. You can't do change of scope, we'll do this later, we'll scale only so much. All that doesn't work. So I think it also makes you result-oriented in a very different way. At heart, I think I'm somewhere still a salesperson. Even when I wear a product hat, I go back and ask myself, I mean, we all fall in love with our own ideas, right? But sometimes you have to do a reality check and say, is someone going to be willing to pay some real money for this? I was lucky to have an opportunity to get into a product role. Any enterprise sales usually takes 6 to 9 months or even a year, and I could at one time only work on so many deals. And I said, okay, look, here I can come back and help to create something which everyone can use. That was my motivation. 15 years ago, I've been doing PM for a long time now. I'm one of the mini dinosaurs, if you want to think of me that way. But it was hard. There were very few people who were doing it. While we had a lot of people in technology companies, it was mostly services. There were very few product companies, even fewer people who were doing product management. And usually the advice I got was, if you want to do this, you have to move to the US or Europe. And then I'm like, I can sell from here, then why can't I build it from here? And sometimes the only way to do it is to do it. I think that's at least been my mantra over the last 15 years in a lot of different shapes and roles. I have always kind of been in the space which has problems, which has technology and an opportunity to create an impact. If it triangulates in that three, usually I'm somewhere in that zone of trying to solve that. I also ran a social impact startup for a little while. We were trying to solve the problem for the low-income, financial inclusion of the low-income group. That's a story for another day. But I had a chance to also see what it takes to build things from the grounds up. Currently in my role, and all of this was still, in some ways an IC role or trying to build something out. The charter that I have at NICE today is, we really want to build a high-performing global product organization. That was the one line that our head of product told me when he was hiring me, and he continues to remind me of that whenever we are at it. So when you're building a product, and when you're building an organization, and when you're building people to build products, it's all a different journey. And tying it back to your original question, I think the journey kind of takes takes a different shape as you go with it. The one currency that has helped me stay the course is, what impact are we trying to create? And to create that impact, what do we need to do differently? So today the impact that I create is mostly about people and what they build and what they ship and how they're able to build their careers and all of that. So yeah, that's my little story of the product world.
Very interesting, Seema. So your takeaway is how you make impact, what impact that you create on people, and this field helps you do that.
Absolutely.
The best way. Wonderful. So now we talk about your journey, and do you think there are some specific skills that people should have if they want to pursue the product management track? And should they all be technical? And you did say you were a civil person. So what are the skills that people need, tech skills and non-tech skills? I think that would help.
So, first of all, I think we have a mixed group of people here, right? There are set of transferable skills that whatever you may do today, which could be tech, non-tech, that would apply, right? Like soft skills, communication, stakeholder management, in general, the business acumen, all that. Just trying to understand what you do, why you do, all of that definitely is a must. Then apart from that, in product management itself, NASSCOM has done a great job in the NPS charter, categorizing the competencies very well into the strategic product management skills needed, technical, and the product marketing. I think, I also speak for NASSCOM here as a volunteer who's been associated, with NPS and NWPC for the past year. You can get those details, but overall, strategy is about you thinking what is next for the business, what is next for the product, and making sure you have a great roadmap available. And from the technology perspective, technical skills perspective, you have the know-how, you know how to get that roadmap done, and executing and release management and all that is on a high level. There are a lot of nuances in each of these skills that are applicable, but I think what I would want to focus, at least what I advise that I give people is that soft skills are definitely, necessary in this. The product sense, soft skills are the two main things that I would say that would be very critical.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Yeah, sure. I've often found simple things that work. I think if we have to look at a one-line, description of what a product manager does, and I'm sure each of us have had to explain our jobs to many people, and by third sentence you have lost them or they have lost you, right? It's a very familiar thing that happens in our world. We're usually always figuring out. You're figuring out what problem to solve. You're figuring out how important is it. You're figuring out why do I need to do it. You're figuring out what's the best way to do it. You're figuring out who else do I need to be working with to make this happen. You're trying to figure out, who needs to approve or get the funds, again, depending on the context, if you're a large organization, startup, wherever. How are you going to really build that asset that you need to do? Will you build? Will you buy? A lot of it is figuring out, and some of it in that lens is always going to be in the context of the product life cycle that you are on, where your product is, what type of a product, so there will be some contextuality to that, but there is still a lot of similarity to that. And the big part, like Lakshmi also said, is actually for you to be able to have a plan and then to take the village with you to make that happen. And I think that's a very big part of our jobs, to make that happen. She's given a great point to the resources. I'll also give you another pointer to an external resource. There are a lot of different tools and competencies and skills and frameworks. You may be familiar with that. The one that I find easy to look at this from even a progressive career for PMs or product professionals is there's this guy Ravi Mehta. He has a tool. It talks about 4 quadrants. One is more from an execution lens. The second is more from voice of customer or insights. And that's really going to tell you the why you should be doing things. The strategy is the 3rd quadrant. And the 4th is really the stakeholder. And as you progress in your career, the expertise levels across each of these changes. So you actually have a different spider chart for an APM and for a group PM and a director and a CPO. I think having that sense of wherever you're in the journey, at which point are you now and what skill are you trying to build for your next role? I think usually it helps, and then you start looking for opportunities where you can build that to be ready for your next level, wherever you may be in your career journey. So that's one thing that I found very handy, and I talk to my team using that a lot, and they apparently are able to go and figure out something additional for them on what they want to do, given where they are in the journey.
Very interesting. So Ravi Mehta, is it?
Yeah. We are actually trying to build something similar. So at NICE, I think we have some very interesting frameworks. We have something called as a product framework, right from an ideation stage to everything in the life cycle. And that helps us in two ways. One is just to ensure that everyone in the organization follows a consistent way to do things, and that takes away like half of the problem, right? Everyone is moving in the same way. So it doesn't matter if it's a, a small feature, if it's an increment, if it's a new module or an entirely new product, the process is the same. So when someone says, I'm at stage this, we exactly know what is involved in that stage. That's one way of executing at scale and consistency. The second part of how we do it is, we actually have product cards that are associated with each of those. So just think of it, let's say there is a seven-stage process: ideation, business case, planning, development, launch, end of life, et cetera, et cetera. Each of this then has specific things you would do in each step, right? And there are skills that are associated with each card. And as a career progression and a career planning tool, we encourage our team members to actually take those cards and work with it. So people can actually choose which cards they want to focus on, build their skills. And this is really on the job, and it's experiential. So they actually do it on a real project, and they work with the leader. So we don't tie it to the performance, but it's more mentoring style, so people can really take feedback and make it work. And we found a lot of good success with that.
Yeah, I think it's very nice because they know exactly what skill is needed for that job, and if they don't have it, get that skill and get
exactly. And every project is going to be different. Every product is going to be different. I mean, and I think sometimes, which is where the generalization hurts, right? Someone says, have you done product market fit? Sure, my product doesn't need it right now, and it's okay. Yep. I mean, no one ever does everything in the same job, by the way. I mean, I think you must have seen Hajar frameworks. No one does everything on the same job. No one does everything on the same product. There's a lot of contextuality when you're managing products. And I think in the journey of your product and in the life cycle, you really need to know what's going to be important. If it's a mature product, you need to have a method and way to do a lot of incremental things, because that's what your customer expects. If you look at it from the crossing the chasm way of what your customer expectations are. If it's very early stage, you will have people who are willing to experiment, and you need to be able to experiment quickly. So I think, being mindful of that and doing what is needed. It's glamorous to talk about everything, but sometimes, just stay to the basics and do it with rigor, do it having fun and taking people with you. I think you will find a lot more joy in what you're doing.
Wow, so beautifully put, Seema, lovely. And do you think, and this is a conference for women in product, so do you think there are certain special traits that women have to make a difference?
I think in product management, right, I can go to say that women would be great product managers in general, because of, I think, like, however, in the morning it was said about the networking skills and everything. But that said, we do hold back, right? So while we have all the skills, if we correct that part, I think we'd make great product managers. In general, I think women will make great product managers.
Okay.
Yeah, I can add to it, and again, there are two spectrums of thought that I have. One, I think we really don't need to get bogged down by this gender thing. On most days, don't think about it. Just think you're a kick-ass product manager and do what you need to do, and that's going to be enough. On the other side, usually because we are working in a world which is full of constraints, and that is true for us in our personal lives and work lives, right? Usually, I think we as women are a little bit attuned, or we figure out somewhere along the way, how do you work within constraints and still make things happen? Never do I see someone who is not fed the family. Never do I see some kid, someone in the family who needed a child's project to be done, but the mom let the child go just like that. It may be hard, it may be easy. So there are little things, I think, which we practice on a daily basis in our other avatars of life, which can be a big asset to us in, how do you work within constraints and make things happen, I think is one of the most underused superpowers that we perhaps have. Because driving it through the end and making it happen, I think that last mile is really, where we really are able to come back. What holds us, I think, is more than that. I think we just, and people spoke about imposter syndrome, it's for real. Maybe we doubt ourselves way too much. Just go do it. It's totally okay. That's how everyone figures it out.
And we have great execution skills overall. So that's definitely an asset, which is very important.
Very valuable. So essentially, women being multitasking will really help make this happen. So we understand all of this. Now, what is it that we are doing to ensure that we have the right skills? Because the demand we saw is going to be plenty. So can you tell what steps have been taken to get the people ready for a career in product management?
Sure, and I'll take this point from NASSCOM's perspective, right? So, at NASSCOM, over the past, couple of years, Malti, Nitin, Nilesh, and a few leaders have helped create a framework. In Malti's, I quote Malti here, a good literature that was missing for product management is what the need was, and they've helped us create a PM 101 kind of a framework, which is up now in Future Skills app. So that is basically for beginners or anyone who wants to get into product management. It covers all the aspects of it. It also includes Ravi's inputs, that framework in there, and additional inputs from NASSCOM product leaders across the industries. And then this, that's out there for consumption now. And we are working on PM 201, which is for mid-career professionals who are looking to get into the product leadership roles. And that's a completely community-driven activity. So we have volunteers who are contributing to 201 at the same time, learning, as they do it in the process as well. And it's a great initiative that's happening. The next up would be 301, which is for senior leaders, 15 plus senior leaders who'd want to get to the CPO and the CXO levels, right? Like it could be a path to business leadership or product leadership. And apart from this, what we're also doing in the NPS and NWPC side is a mentorship. The mentorship depends. If it is, if it is very senior, you'll get one-to-one mentorship. Otherwise, it will be a group mentorship, which has been very successful. And then we have master classes. Because one of the pain points that you see is as we talk about the skills, right? The second question that you asked, everything in paper is good, but when you actually work on the initiative in your firm, the product that you're building for your company, for your industry, there will be practical problems that is actually not written in any of the books or any of the materials. So we are trying to curate, and we have a few master classes out there which are use case specific, industry specifics, which we are trying to address. So these are some of the things that we are trying to figure out and address the gaps. And this will be an ongoing process. We are open to feedback from the community, from from everyone, and based on that we are curating content.
Super. I think that's a great initiative that together with the enterprise and NASSCOM have together put this on. And as Lakshmi was saying, we have PM 101, the brochure that most of you have at your desk. I would request, are you ready, Prashant? So essentially what PM 101, here I know in this gathering there are many people who are probably well into product management, maybe 2-3 years into product management, but you could definitely share about this for people who just want to know about product management and probably want to pursue a career in product management. So what PM 101 covers is, it actually gives you an overview of what product management is, obviously. It also talks about strategy, how you would do segmentation, how you would do positioning, those kind of things it talks about. It also talks about customer centricity. It talks about how you could get the customer feedback to improve your product. So this is what the PM 101 covers. It talks about the tools, methodologies, processes, and a little bit into product management. So I'm just requesting my colleague, Prashant, to show you how you could access this on Future Skills Prime platform. I could do the voiceover, Prashant, if you could. Super. So futureskillsprime.in is the portal. It's a portal with MIT, Ministry of Electronics IT, and NASSCOM. It's a B2C portal, so anybody and everybody can access. You could access it on mobile also. It is mobile friendly. So just go on to this, go on to this website, access this. Prashant, if you could just go to the groups, the next tab. So this is how the platform looks. Just go to the home, please. Yeah. So this is the home page. And on that you have the menu called groups there. So if you click on groups, you have the product skills towards the 4th tab. So just click the product skills. And what you see here is the product skills PM 101 book, which was compiled by the experts, and the 3 learning journey that you have. First is decoding. The second one is process and skills and tools. And the third one is strategy. So once you complete all of this is about 9 hours of learning, you will get a certificate. So this is like a starting point into product management career. And then we will soon get PM 201, probably during January timeframes, where people who have about 4 or 5 years of experience in product management will find that information useful. So I have a small request, Shreya. So if we could have everybody just put up this thing, and we would like to take a photograph of all of you showing up the brochure. Thank you so much. All of you, please. Photographer. No, we can get the photographer also too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just one moment. Just one moment. Thank you so much, everybody. And so with this, I thank both Lakshmi and Seema. I think you all have given very interesting perspectives about the journey and what it takes to have a lovely career in product management. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shreya.
Priya, I just want to add one point. I want to spotlight a volunteer, a recent volunteer. So while we were talking about the opportunities, right, I think we had a lot of questions across the panels as to how do I, get into product management? How do I make sure from my current role I move into product management? So we have Komal, who was talking, this was a casual conversation I had this morning. She was talking about how she was a software developer and she wanted to get into product management. It wasn't easy in her past company. And was trying to apply and, obviously, right, like they want relevant experience. So what she did was she gathered a few friends and built her own app. This was last year for, certain marketplaces. The QR code menu scanning app that, we all see for, I think, if I'm not wrong, NCR, Delhi area. And she was able to actually take it to VCs and, actually make a pitch and get something out of that. And for whatever reason, she actually, made an exit. But that experience gave her a boost to get into product management. I want to highlight that because that topic came about, including the workshop that Neerja was asking to action. So I think this is one great example that, you might be an aspiring product manager with a prior experience or a new product manager. With the resources that we have today, this is possible. Just wanted to, add that.
Lovely. Great.